The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Well, it's a pleasure today to talk with somebody I've known for years and years and years. You have worn many masks over the years, Robert, but this is Robert Collins. Now, you're the Director of Workforce Development for the LEDC, the London Economic Development Corporation, correct?
That's correct, Glenn.
Yeah, and I want to talk all about that, but I think people need to know just what kind of varied background that you've had. It's been a long time, as I said, with many hats. Can you just briefly go over that with us?
Sure, Glenn. I actually came here as an international student many years ago and sort of went to Western for a while, then Teachers College, and I really locked in. I got a job as an assistant community school leader at Trafalgar Public School on Hamilton Road. And as part of that, we were part of the Crouch Neighborhood Resource Center and were steered a lot by the Hamilton Road Area Council. So I spent a wonderful time period really learning about community activation, some of the really frontline challenges facing all of the different service providers, whether it be police, public health, Children's Aid Society, educators, as we were trying to help really support a neighborhood with multiple challenges, because there were actually sort of 4 schools in that neighborhood, which I'm afraid still today face some educational deficits and some challenges. And so that really sort of helped orient me to then actually I worked for the Public Utilities Commission and Recreation. I moved to actually the province of Ontario and moved up to be sort of a manager there. And then I ended up with the City of London in various different roles, including having some responsibility for social policy and then recreation services, Goodwill Industries. And now I have the great opportunity to be part of the London Economic Development Corporation, which is sort of charged with helping bring new business to London and to help existing businesses grow in sort of key sectors where they're going to make a difference to bringing in net new money to our community. And my particular portfolio is sort of on the people side, connecting talent to companies and companies to talent.
Yeah. So here I thought I had a very diverse background, but you're the king. You have more hats in your closet than I do.
Well, you've been fighting fires for a long time, Glenn.
Yeah. But it's great talking to you because I've known you in many of those dimensions. And of course, this series, Food Bites, is about poverty. And I know you've been in the middle of a lot of that over the last few decades. But I did want to ask you, at the food bank, for instance, our numbers are now at record levels. They've never been this high in 35 years. But whenever I'm down there, I keep running into people that just last year were working, or the year before, right? Years ago when the food bank was going, it was just mostly people on social services. But now it's really people have really having a difficult time in the workplace, either keeping work or, being able to manage it with family or with sick parents or whatever it is. How has COVID been for you at the LEDC, but also as you look at workforce development, things like that? What kind of effect has that had on us as a community?
Well, interestingly enough, for actually us helping to sort of bring new companies to London, et cetera, actually we've been remarkably successful because we've been able to adapt using Zoom, as we're using now, using drone footage, and really celebrating London's assets. But we've been very aware, chatting to our companies, about the on-again, off-again transitions. Obviously, sort of agri-food, London's the leading community in Canada for agri-food, and people work in very close proximity together in those environments. So, then there have been some sort of mini outbreaks that companies have had to address. There are also a lot of the workers, they've got family responsibilities. So when education has meant working from home, they've had to leave the workforce for periods of time. It's been very, very stressful for people both in good jobs and in those which are more marginal. And for instance, we saw a significant loss of part-time jobs for a while.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, and this is what's really quite, I mean, astounding, really, is that there were 40,000 more people in work at the end of last year than there were in 2017. That's annual stats.
Wow.
And also, there's about 45,000 more people who are saying that they're interested in working and/or working, which means our participation rate has gone up from a 60%, which was one of the lowest CMA in Canada, to one of the middle of the pack. So something has actually sort of happened to at least have people wanting to be looking for employment and engaged. And as you're aware, there's been a recent study that's looked at those who are even further on the sidelines and what are some of the challenges they face. And we do have some big challenges as a community that we have to address.
Mm-hmm. So what about talent? Like there's jobs, there's the opportunity, but London has to compete with all these other municipalities to try to get talent to come here. And I know that's a challenge. We have many amenities, but there's also other things I'm sure we have to work at. How do you see us at a talent level, not just a job opportunity level, but the ability to have people to fill those roles?
Well, and I will just say this, when I looked just before coming on with you today, we have over 6,500 open jobs right now in our community as of today. And many of those are skilled and degrees of skill. And so it is a very competitive labor market. We're very fortunate that both of our educational institutions, both Western and Fanshawe, are looking at new pathways, whether it be micro-credentials and other ways to help reskill people in shorter time periods for some of those opportunities with a slightly higher skill than people may have had. And bear in mind, if you think about the last 2 years, if you haven't had access to a computer, and or your children have been using it for you, how have you kept in touch with your skill sets and opportunities? So I think of almost the last couple of years as really being a setback for many people in being able to move forward. Yeah. So when I look at the absolute supply, when you look at the great programs from Fanshawe and Western producing people, but when I say Western, I mean Western and its affiliates. Yeah. We do have access to talent, and you may have just seen our overall population growth numbers, which came out, which the London CMA had the largest population growth of any CMA in Ontario.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But that has been primarily, I haven't seen the details yet because they haven't come out, but they're saying that's predominantly from migrant and immigrant talent. So London is seen, that record is telling us that London is seen as a desirable community for talent to come to. Now, do we have the talent to, and do we have all the means in place to both reskill and support those people who want to work? I'm not sure they're all in place right now, and I get worried because of financial pressures that some of the government aids to actually getting those training programs up and running might get reduced because of those fiscal. Yeah. And that's going to be key, both for existing companies and the existing people working to reskill, to continue to reskill, and as well for people who are on the margins to have those opportunities.
Yeah. Can you tell me how, I know many of the folks we see at the food bank, they've come from some pretty hard hit companies in London, many of them larger. Can you tell us what the state of those particular businesses are and how they're doing?
Well, in our areas, like our manufacturing, and this is a sort of, our emphasis on, as I say at LEDC, is bringing net new money into the community. So that tends to be in the agri-food industry, manufacturing, our tech community, et cetera. So, but the areas that have been harder hit have tended to be retail, tended to be food service, hospitality. So, and that's been especially challenging for people in those areas because they're often really attracted to them because of the people contact. So then you move from having high people contact to isolation.
Yeah.
So that's then exacerbated mental health issues, feeling of connectedness, feeling of actually, what is my worth? So that trigger to mental health supports, and then people's perception of their distance to the labor force. Now, the good news is, as of today, things are opening up much more in those traditional sectors.
Yeah.
So there's some optimism there, but it depends on how far. It depends on how deeply you've been affected, and then your ability to rise to that. And that's some of us are blessed. We've got tremendous support systems that have helped us through those. Others are not.
Yeah.
So I really and the recent study, which was done by PricewaterhouseCoopers for London, identified that there's about between 30 and 40,000 people, in addition to the unemployed number that's reported monthly, which is around 18,000 in the London CMA, who say they're looking for work. There's about 30 to 40,000 sitting on the sidelines. So it could be a health issue, mental health, or the perception that there isn't work that can actually pay enough, or they don't have access to the childcare or transit to get them to the opportunities that exist.
Yeah.
So we've got to, as a community, we really do have to come together to look at some of those issues and say, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah. So can we just talk about the future a bit here? If you remember, when I was finished in politics in 2011, one of the first things I did was to a Bridges Out of Poverty conference, and you were there.
Yes.
We had talked about it, and I remember speaking to the group saying, look at all of these things that you're planning are wonderful. But as a food bank director, I've been at it a long time. And now altogether, we've been through 4 recessions, right? We've been through a pandemic. And always during the time when things are really tough, governments do show up and they help out. We've seen that again during this pandemic. I saw it in the Great Recession when I was in Ottawa. But what I was trying to say to the folks that day is that if you're planning on that, the difficulty is in a democracy is that governments change. Mm-hmm. And then governments have different mandates or feel they have different mandates. So in the case of the pandemic, we have a massive debt nationally, provincially as well, that we have to, deal with. And usually what happens is that programs are enhanced during times when things are tough. And then as we come out of that, governments seek to pay down that debt. And one of the first things that they do is they will cut it on social programs, the low-hanging fruit kind of things. And sometimes that will be on job things as well, retraining and other things. What's your view of what will happen this time, Robert? I mean, it's a massive debt, but it's also, we supposedly have learned a lot of lessons through this pandemic. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'm cautiously optimistic. The government does realize it's going to be a longer runway. Mm. In other words, it hasn't been just a financial hit. It's been a societal hit.
Yeah.
So I think I'm hopeful that they will see that there does need to be a menu of supports that will help with that transition, and with potentially a more affordable childcare being available, which will take 3 to 5 years to ramp up, right? To be realistic, to have people trained, to pay them reasonably. I get really quite worried about the range of social and other programs which are not adequately funded. So therefore, people who are providing these supports don't have pensions. They don't necessarily have themselves the means. So are we creating good employment for people who are doing good work? I think it's a significant challenge for our society, especially when government shed responsibilities themselves, when they moved employment services from government through to the not-for-profit sector and then froze funding. Yeah. I think we've created some challenges for ourselves by that distribution. Now I'm wearing my social hat.
I know. We've seen it during actually the pandemic that, a fair bit of resources were released by the feds, by the province. The city tried to manage that the best they could. And you saw a number of agencies that were trying to buff up. They were hiring people, they were trying to move forward. I worry about the future of those staffing arrangements as the funding begins to drop down. What will they do? But also the kind of work that people have in there. Often they're not the most, satisfying as far what you're doing and you're helping people, but really you don't have a pension in what you're doing. You might be making just a little bit more than a minimum wage. So, I think what you're raising is a really important point. During the pandemic, we have said as a country we want to take care of these people, and so therefore here's what we do. But if the workers themselves, the people that are providing the care, don't actually have the kind of resources that are required, that doesn't do us well for the future. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something which I don't think is really recognized is everybody wants the employers to be more responsible. And I think they want to be. But when you think about sort of London, Middlesex, we have about 14,500 employers. We have about 375, give or take one or two, that have 100 or more. We have about 1,800 that have between 20 and 99. And the rest are all 1 to 19.
That's like 12,000?
Yeah, approximately 12. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
we think about that, and employers are very busy running their enterprises, especially those, so they not until after you're 20 do you normally maybe have a human resources person who's doing everything, from workers' comp to recruitment to payroll to whatever. So the ability to actually connect to people and tell stories and to bring people in well to those enterprises, I think is a real challenge. I know how effective businesses have been to support business cares, and others, but obviously I would love to see them be able to, we used to have a campaign called Hire One, which was, could you please think about how you could hire one more person into your enterprise and create employment, and meaningful employment, not a job for somebody who's actually contributing to the enterprise.
Yeah,
I think we've got to look at how we can bridge and help prepare people better for employment and connect them to employers in a way that employers, their efforts are, how should I put it? It's easier for employers to reach into those talent pools than it currently is. Yeah. And I think we've got some shifts that we have to make there. And government is trying to, there's a massive change underway in Ontario of reorganization of employment services. And I'm hoping that through the learning process of this, that the effectiveness of the preparation of the services and the link to employers who have not really been consulted in that process to date are better linked to those services.
It's interesting because with COVID, as with homeless folks, there was a real kind of opening up of the collective mind in our communities about homeless folks and the challenges they were going through. And a lot of the judgments that had been there previously kind of dissipated during this time of the pandemic. They just want to see those folks helped. But I know that prior to COVID coming, there had been this kind of duality, narrative going on in many of the communities across the country about, you have the social side and you have the business side. And often there was this sense that the business side was not doing enough. And, that was not our experience to a certain degree as a food bank. But I do understand that, people are saying, look, we need better wages, we need benefits, all that kind of stuff. But one thing COVID did teach us is that many of our businesses were living close to the bone. You know, they weren't surviving easily, right? And even now, especially in the retail sector, the service sectors you're talking about, you know, they're trying to come back again now as things open up, but they don't tend to have the capital behind them or the savings behind them that other larger groups do. So one thing I hope is that as we come out of this, that we see the business community is really much more a part of the solution. For moving forward, not just for poverty or people that are homeless, but for the health of our community, right? And the ability to be able to find prosperity and work our way out of it. Do you have a feeling that that will happen, Robert?
I'm optimistic. I've often, you know, when I've had an opportunity, urged that perhaps some of the EI rules be modified so that, in fact, employers are rewarded for keeping people on, rather than actually them paying into a fund that then helps. Those kinds, and if they add employees, there's a bonusing factor or a reduction factor. So I think sometimes I'm not sure we have the right incentives in place.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of. So I'm yet again, just because of the opportunities that are coming down the pipe. When I see the companies that are coming to London and expanding, you know, with you know, like even Amazon, as an example, for their regular workforce, we're paying sort of $18.50 or $19 an hour to start. They're paying benefits from day one, an educational allowance after the first year, an Amazon share after year two. How should I put it? There are companies coming, and then that's just not to. I think of Amazon as sort of the McDonald's. The McDonald factor, when that came in, McDonald's were training young people so well in the particular roles they had. That became sort of almost an industry standard.
That's right. Yeah, I had 3 kids that learned that at McDonald's. It was great training for them.
Well, and we're you know, we think that those kind of things are you know, yet again, right now I think the last time a living wage was done for London was at 16.33 or something like that, which I'm sure needs to be readjusted. It hasn't been done for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So costs have been going up, but I've been pleased to see that some of the wage structure has been going up. By the way, I should point out other community efforts that the London and Area Works series on CTV, which is every sort of 3 series on Monday nights. What we've been trying to do from both from LEDC, but also the other community agencies, the Workforce Planning Board and others, we've been trying to show inside companies and what they look like. Because most of us, if we're going past a factory or an office building or whatever, we don't really know what the company does or what kind of work there is within those. We're trying to increase awareness of what are the opportunities and what's involved, because there's all sorts of people who don't really ever know what company X really does, and what somebody does in a given day inside an enterprise.
Yeah. I think there's also some good news coming, and you would know this far better than I would, but I spent some time with Graham Henderson, the new head of the Chamber of Commerce here in London, and he's just done an internal review of their 900 members. And what they discovered from that was the whole idea of gender parity, the whole idea of equity, of inclusion. These are now uppermost in the mind of companies. They're not just looking there trying to survive. They're getting the message, as we all are, as we move forward, that these things are going to have to be pivotal or fundamental to business opportunities in the future. Are you seeing that? I presume you are.
Yeah, very much so. Companies realize that their talent has choices.
Yeah. And
if they're not in a welcoming environment where their skills are being used and appreciated, then they will go somewhere else. So that's the good side of having jobs open. It forces that change process perhaps earlier than perhaps some are comfortable doing that. Also, London has a richer range of services which are helping both the job seekers prepare, but are also helping employers understand how can they reach more into different demographic populations.
Yeah.
Can they reconfigure work hours so that people can arrive at 9 o'clock after their children have gone to school?
Yeah.
They're needing to really consider the needs of their workforce much more than perhaps that they have in the past.
Yeah. So can we end with one big question for you? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Robert, but you're so much wiser than I am in these things. But if you could see the city, whether it's City Hall or us all as a community, making one big change that you think that would help with workforce development, because as those things are successful, those people won't need to come to the food bank and we can see our numbers shrink. Can I ask you what that would be? What would you like to see?
I must say that at this point in time, given where the range of opportunities are being created, the first one would be a very active approach to transit.
Yeah.
So that would be just because of Maple Leaf Foods and others. We're recognizing we're also a regional workforce, that the transit is not just within London, it's within our surrounding communities. And people mobility. People want to live in other communities and come to work in London, and vice versa. So the more we pay attention to that as an underlying condition, I think it will facilitate everything. Right now, I believe a lot of the transit from outside London is used for medical purposes, right? Important to get people to healthcare. Yeah. But I do think we need to be able to get people to work. The second, obviously, is that we do start to benchmark wages so that that more people are earning a livable wage. And so that would be, I mean, that's a universal rather than a.
Yeah. Robert, thank you for this. We might circle back and do another one of these, because I think you've got so much knowledge here of things that we don't really know. Yeah. But, the LEDC has done such a good job of bringing all these facts and data and opportunities there, but we often don't hear about them as much as we need to. So would you mind, maybe we can do a round 2 or something in the near future, come back to this and talk about some more of these things that you see. Yeah. And I would be interested in plumbing into some of your knowledge about the social side of things and what we're going through here as a community, and see the lessons that you've picked up over the years and how you would like to see us do better. And maybe one of the key things is how could you see for us as a food bank to reduce our numbers, because we were moving in that direction. Our numbers are going down and down and down every month. But now, because of the pandemic, they've shot up, and I don't know how much longer they'll last. But I could use your advice on that. Can we circle back and do that?
Glenn, it's always a great privilege and a pleasure to chat with you, and I really appreciate the very important contribution that the food bank makes. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Robert, and we'll get back to you. Appreciate this very much.
Good. Thank you.
For 25 years, you've been helping to make our roads safer by doing the right thing. You've been the designated driver, you've stayed over, called home, you've called a cab or a friend, and planned ahead. Let's keep doing the right thing. Support sober driving by getting yourself and your friends home safely.
Do the right thing.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Looking for the best way to get the Major League Baseball games you want to watch? Rogers Super Sports Pack has you covered. With MLB Extra Innings, you'll have a premium ticket to out-of-market regular season games, with all games available in HD. Don't miss the action from the games you want from both the American and National Leagues. MLB Extra Innings, part of the Super Sports Pack. For only $35.95 a month, Rogers customers get all this for one all-inclusive price. Order using your remote starting on channel 431 or visit Rogers.com today.
My husband is a wonderful man and a great father when he's not drinking. I'm so angry he chooses alcohol over us. If he really loved us, he'd stop drinking, right? My counselor suggested I try Al-Anon. I didn't understand why. I'm not the one with the problem, but I'm glad I went. Do you worry about someone's drinking? You are not alone. Al-Anon or Alateen can help. Call 866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the RTV Quiz Show, the hottest show on television. Now, if you've never seen this show before and you've been living underneath a rock, let me inform you about this juggernaut of a TV show you're about to watch right now. Folks, have you ever seen those fancy American game shows, you know, where they have 22 gorgeous models all dressed up in these beautiful outfits, each of them holding one of these silver cases labeled 1 to 22. One of them has $1 million, and a random member from the audience has a chance to walk away with $1 million US. You know what show I'm talking about? This is nothing like that show. In some ways, it's better because you are the random contestant from the audience, and you have a chance to win valuable, non-existent prizes. And you get to laugh, sit back, relax, and if you're not careful, you just might learn something. Here we go, RTV Quiz Show, round one. You got one job. You got one job. All right, round one, folks. Round one. The category is, how's my Latin? A lot of people think that Latin is a dead language, but I don't know. I think it's still roaming around. It's going to be that kind of show. It's going to be that kind of show. What is wrong with you, buddy? We got a show. We got a... That boy. That a boy. All right, question number one. Professional work undertaken voluntarily and without payment is often known by what Latin term? That's marriage. Question number two, the Latin phrase vendi, verdi, vici is commonly attributed to Julius Caesar. What does it mean? All right, folks, a little difficult question, but think about it for a second. Julius Caesar, inventor of the Caesar salad. So it probably means hold the croutons. Question number three, the popular expression seize the day comes from what Latin aphorism? Can you say that on TV? Aphorism? Can you say that? Question number four, what is the meaning of the Canadians' national motto? Amare Esca Amar. It's on your passport, actually. It's a fun fact. I always thought it meant you're never going to make this flight. But that's not it. Is it A, order and progress, B, loyal she began, loyal she remains, C, one for all for one, or D, from sea to sea? Nice slogans. Huh? Question number five, what Latin phrase appears on the Great Seal of the United States? The United States has a Great Seal? I am the Great Seal. Give me fish or give me death. All right, time for round two. Round two. All right, before we start round two, I have a huge announcement to make. Thanks to you guys keeping this show on the air for this long, telling your family members what a great time that you're having. And I'm proud to announce that this is our 99th episode. So round two, the category is 99. All right, so all these questions have to do with the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky. All right, here we go. Question number 6. What 4 NHL teams did Gretzky play for? He played for 4 NHL teams. I don't know. I guess he wasn't that great. He couldn't keep a job, this guy. I don't know. Question number 7. What city in Southwestern Ontario is Wayne Gretzky from? Because he's from. What city is that? Some of you might think that that's an easy question, but remember, there's people in Ottawa watching this. And they don't get out much. Which is, I'm not complaining. Question number 8. Wayne Gretzky holds the record for most goals in an NHL career with 894. Which one of his boyhood idols has the second most goals in a career? Who did he beat? I'm sure the guy, they go, hey, oh, you're my hero. And then I'm going to crush your record. That must have been an awkward conversation. Huh? Shut up, kid. Question number 9. How many times did Wayne Gretzky win the Stanley Cup? Was it 2 times, 4 times, 5 times, or 7 times? How many times did he win the Stanley Cup? Oh, fun fact here, folks. Breaking news from Wayne Gretzky. Controversial Wayne Gretzky report here. It says, for many, many years, Wayne Gretzky has been credited with the quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Apparently, it has been revealed that he stole that quote from Alcoholics Anonymous. There you got it. There you got it. Okay. Question number 10. Which part of the ice is nicknamed Gretzky's office? It's probably when he plays at the Staples Center. Speaking of which, folks, is it just me? But I once spent 40 minutes trying to remove a photocopied image of a staple on a piece of paper, like, you know? And it's I finally figured it out. I had to photocopy the staple remover, and then it worked. All right, time for round 1 answers. The category was, how's my Latin? Question number 1 was, professional work undertaking voluntarily and without payment is often known by what Latin term? That's pro bono, for the public good. Pro bono. I like that word. Let me just add that on my list of words that sound dirty but are not. I'm going to put it right after poop deck, but before dangling participle. Question number 2. The Latin phrase vendi, verdi, vici is commonly attributed to Julius Caesar. What does it mean? It means I came, I saw, I conquered. Coincidentally, that's what should be above every Chinese food buffet. Question number 3. The popular expression seize the day comes from what Latin aphorism? It's carpe diem. Carpe diem. It's a fun fact. That's where carpal syndrome comes from. Carpal syndrome, like with the seize the day, you got to grab it. That's not true. Actually, folks, I hate it when people misuse Latin phrases and vice versa. Hate it. Question number 4. What is the meaning of Canada's national motto? Amare esque amar. That's exactly how it's pronounced. It means D, from sea to sea. That's our national motto, from sea to sea. Question number 5. What Latin phrase appears on the Great Seal of the United States? That is moisten needle before inserting. That seal? No, it's actually a plurum which means out of many, one. Giant disaster. Question number 6 was, what 4 NHL teams did Gretzky play for? That was Edmonton Oilers, LA Kings, St. Louis Blues, and the New York Rangers. That's tricky. It's tricky. Everyone forgets about the St. Louis Blues. Fun fact here, folks. It says here, Gretzky only played 18 regular season games with the St. Louis Blues and 13 playoff games. So it was a short. Well, I mean, he saw everything. He saw the arch, And then, so what else you got? And they said, well, we got the arch from the other side. You're going to see it from the other side. Question number 7. What city in Southwestern Ontario is Wayne Gretzky from? The answer is Brantford, Ontario. Fun fact, folks, actually, another famous person quite well is from Brantford. Great guy, great. Alexander Graham Bell too. That's okay. So 3 guys, not the guy I was thinking of. Question number 8. Wayne Gretzky holds the record for most goals in an NHL career with 894. Which one of his boyhood idols has the second most goals in a career? That was Gordie Howe. Question number 9. How many times did Wayne Gretzky win the Stanley Cup? The answer is 4. 4. Question number 10. Which part of the ice is nicknamed Gretzky's office? That was behind the opponent's net. Huh? We're going to take a little time to ice the puck, but don't worry. We'll be right back with more RTV quiz show after this. Where are you going to go?
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Rogers TV has given me a ton of opportunities, including meeting new people, getting involved with my local community, and trying a ton of variety of different production roles, such as graphics, camera, and audio.
My name is Chase Nicholas. I am a Mi'kmaq hockey player. Growing up, I always remember my family talking about the Mi'kmaq as the creators of the game of hockey. In grade 7, I did research on Mi'kmaq hockey sticks as the first sticks of the NHL. I found a Mi'kmaq hockey stick made in 1917, the same year the NHL was formed. I was surprised to find out the very stick I was holding was made by my great-great-grandfather, Alexander Cope. In 1934, an elder known as Old Joe Cope wrote a letter to the Halifax Herald claiming the Mi'kmaq created hockey. I found out later that I am a direct descendant of Old Joe Cope. There was a time when Mi'kmaq children were torn from their families and not allowed to speak their language, losing their words and stories. But the stories are coming back to us. Stepping on the ice, I take pride knowing the roots of the game of hockey stem from my ancestors in the Mi'kmaq Nation.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. Life has changed for all of us during the pandemic, and many people are turning to alcohol and drugs to cope. Even though most of us are staying home more, police across Ontario are seeing an alarming increase in impaired driving and the horrible devastation that goes with it. Now, more than ever, we need your commitment to never drive impaired and to encourage all of your family and friends to do the same. Together, we can save lives.
Welcome back to the RTV Quiz Show, the hottest show on television, thanks to you and all your family and friends. And here we go with round 3. The category is game shows in the movies. These are all about movies which featured game shows. It is a riddle wrapped in an enigma, wrapped into one of those chip packages that you can't get out and you have to kick with your teeth, and it's like that. It's worth it once you open it. It's like chips. All right, here we go. You'll get it. Question 11. What game show is featured in the 2008 movie Slumdog Millionaire? Big movie, but a guy goes on a game show, wins a lot of money. Some guy walks in with jumper cables and says, hey, don't start anything. Okay. Question number 12. What 1987 movie features Arnold Schwarzenegger on a game show where convicted criminals are forced into life or death competition? It's called Tinder, isn't it? Question 13. In Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, the host of The Gong Show, Chuck Barris, claims to have what secret side job? Dude, if I was the host of The Gong Show, I would have no side jobs. That's a full-time job. Remember Gene, the dancing machine? Question 14. What 1994 film starring Ralph Fiennes? That's how he pronounces it. Because he's fancy, huh? He's fancy. And John Turturro features the fictional game show 21. Coincidentally, folks, 21 guesses is how my parents play Wheel of Fortune. They can't read English very well. And for the last 40 years, they've been watching Wheel of Fortune yet to solve a puzzle. You sit at the screen and yell, buy a vowel, buy a vowel. It's like, guys, they're not Italian words. Like, every word does not have 14 vowels. Like, relax. Question 15. What is the name of the game show that the Griswolds participated in during European vacation? Now, speaking of European vacations, I learned a lot from my Uncle Guido, who was happily married for 40 years. I asked him what the secret was. He said, on our honeymoon, I brought my wife to a European vacation. And then 40 years later, I went back to pick her up. So that's good advice. Right, it's time for round 4. The category is Men of Montreal. Men of Montreal. You know, because you don't want to make it too easy for me to write jokes about different categories. Question 16. Which Toronto Blue Jays first baseman was born in Montreal while his father was a member of the Expos? I can't figure out baseball. When I was a kid, I really tried to figure out why baseball was getting bigger and bigger. And then it finally hit me. That one was for the kids. Question 17. What newspaper publisher was born in Montreal in 1944 and gave up his Canadian citizenship in 2001? He was convicted of fraud in 2007. He gave up his Canadian citizenship because he was convicted of fraud. If that's the case, Parliament should be empty. Like, only thing that should be in there are the plants. Question 18. Which Montreal author is best known for The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, Barney's Vision, and Jacob Tutu? Well, I've read those books. I've seen a movie. I have a library card. I know where the library is. Question 19. What Montreal-born jazz pianist won 7 Grammys, the Order of Canada, and is considered one of the greatest jazz pianists of all time? Can we say pianist? Can we say that in the air? Why is it not pianist? I'm asking for a friend. Question 20. What American-born neurosurgeon founded the Montreal Neurological Institute and advanced the treatment of epilepsy? His story was featured in a Canadian Heritage Minute. You remember those? That's no. Yes. I'm sorry. It's cold. Beavers. Caw. Nobody ever die in those. Those were Heritage Minute. What I just did were Heritage Milliseconds. All right, time for round 3. Answers, here we go. Game shows in the movies. Question 11. What game show is featured in the 2008 movie Slumdog Millionaire? It was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Who Wants to Be? Question number 12. What 1997 movie features Arnold Schwarzenegger on a game show where convicted criminals were forced into a life or death competition? That's called The Running Man. The Running Man. Question 13. In Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, the host of The Gong Show, Chuck Barris, claims to have what secret side job? That's CIA assassin. CIA assassin. Fun. Just breaking news report here, folks. News report here. It appears that the CIA has uncovered a Chinese plot intended to make Americans more stupid. It's called TikTok. Question 14. Which 1994 film features the fictional game show 21? That's Quiz Show. Quiz Show. Question 15. What was the name of the game show that the Griswold participated in during European vacation? That was called Pig and a Poke, that game. The game was called Pig and a Poke. Question 16 was, which Toronto Blue Jays first baseman was born in Montreal while his father was a member of the Expos? That was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Question 17, which newspaper publisher was born in Montreal in 1944 and gave up his Canadian citizenship in 2001? That was Conrad Black. Conrad Black. Question 18, which Montreal author is best known for the apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, Barney's Vision, and Jacob's Tutu? That was Mordecai Richler. Mordecai Richler. Question 19, what Montreal-born jazz pianist won 7 Grammys at the Order of Canada and is considered one of the greatest jazz pianists of all time? That was Oscar Peterson. You know, folks, there are a lot of important jobs out there, but I got to think one of the most useless jobs on the planet has to be the guy who writes the titles for jazz songs, you know, jazz instrumental songs. I'd like to play a little something called Rain Time in Paris. Question number 20. What American-born neurosurgeon founded the Montreal Neurological Institute and advanced the treatment of epilepsy? As Dr. Wilder Penfield. Remember him? He's doing the surgery, and the patient goes, Dr. Penfield, I smell burnt toast. Then he says, I can't believe it's not butter. I mean better. I can't believe it's not butter. I can't believe it's not better. It's a margarine spread. Okay, don't judge. I'll be back right after this. Double point bonus round 5 coming up.
My daughter is 7 years old and has a frenemy. They have play dates that always end up in a fight or tears. His friend bosses her around and treats her poorly, but she still wants to be her friend. What's a parent to do?
I would let them acquiesce to a certain amount, and then, you know, when they're at this age, you still need to be supervising their play dates. So I might step in, not to correct the bossy child, but it's my child that I'm concerned about. I would just expose her to other people, teach her to have a voice, and let her know that she's got options.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Mario Elia, and I'm the host of a new show here on Rogers TV that we're calling Keeping London Healthy with Dr. Mario. I'm a local family physician here in London, and I'm very excited to be working with Rogers TV on this new format, which will give us an opportunity to explore all sorts of topics related to medicine and health. So tune in Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. We'll see you then.
Hi, my name is Gerald. I'm a volunteer here at Rogers TV. Really happy with all the great things I've learned doing video productions for Rogers, all the great people I've met, and being part of a great community.
Hi, I'm Dan Naylor. I'm the host of London Lights, the show where we talk about notable Londoners who have made a big mark, big impact on the world of music, entertainment, sports, politics.
Welcome back to round 5, the RTV quiz show, where it's double point answers, all right? Okay, here we go, round 5. The category is, there's a name for that here. So basically it means that all of the answers will contain other letters or numbers. That's pretty vague. The answers contain a city or a geographical location, that's associated with a particular term. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. All right. I'm actually impressed. I like this one. I had a lot of fun with this one. All right. Question 21. A very short period of time is sometimes known by what term, which references the pace of life in this major U.S. city? Okay. So a very short period of time. So there's a U.S. city name and then a unit of time. A blank blank. Question 22. I did not know this one. I've never heard this before. Here we go. Leaving a party without saying anything may be known by what slang phrase? This term is likely originated outside of the Emerald Isle. Okay, so something when you leave a party without saying goodbye. Question 23, a condition in which hostages develop a psychological bond with their captors is known by what Scandinavian term? So, when you sympathize with your captor. So, marriage. Kind of like that. Question 24, what term means entertainment gained from the suffering or discomfort of others? It's also the name of an Audrey Hepburn movie. No one's getting that. Question 25. After Prime Minister John Gretzky manhandled a protester at an event in Hull on February 15th, 1996, his chokehold became known as what? Maybe he choked the guy. That became a special nickname named after a city in Canada. All right, time for round 5. Yeah, whatever. Round 5 answers. All right, question 21. A very short period of time is sometimes known by what term? The answer is a New York minute. See, named after a city and a minute, it goes by really fast, a New York minute. So I will also accept an Arkansas thought, a Tennessee tooth, or a Vegas honeymoon. I will also accept. Question 22. Leaving a party without saying anything may be known by what slang? That's an Irish goodbye. Question 23. A condition in which the hostages develop a psychological bond with their captor is known by what Scandinavian term? That's called Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm, where you start to like your captor. Stockholm Syndrome. Question 24. What term means entertainment gained from the suffering or discomfort of others? It's also the name of an Audrey Hepburn movie. That's called a Roman holiday. A Roman holiday. Question 25. After Prime Minister John Gretzky manhandled a protester, his chokehold became known as what? That's a Shawinigan handshake. All right, folks, speaking of choking, I'm going to let you guys watch the Toronto Maple Leafs, but no, next time, you stay calm, you stay safe, and you stay nice.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Rogers TV has given me a ton of opportunities, including meeting new people, getting involved in my local community, and trying a ton of variety of different production roles, such as graphics, camera, and audio.
Jeff from Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff. We're back for season 3. We've had the opportunity to see some great backyards and have some great barbecue. Join us, Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in sick. What makes the job tough is the moment you realize a customer has had enough, and you have to make that decision not to overserve. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law. We know it's not easy, but we're counting on you to keep us all safe. Thank you, servers, for doing the tough job.
It doesn't get any bigger than this.
You just can't wait for the puck to drop.
Ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sportsnet?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Here we go. The chase for hockey's